Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I would like to talk about how to improvise singing according to the classical style. If we consider about the way of singing the classical style, for sure we need to think about opera and all the vocal techniques that they use in opera. But for sure, opera is not the only way that you can sing in the classical music, because for sure I can sing even that I'm not talking about opera. So this is important. So for sure the techniques in the many ways that the people they studied about classical music, it came from opera, but for sure this is only one way that we can start understanding the things about classical music. But for sure the classical singing, it's more than just opera. What is important to consider when we sing, it's about projection, because remember the pop singers, they use microphones, so in a way they can sing like this, they can use all the effects. But if you think about how people they sang many years ago without equipment, without any other possibility, they only had their voice to sing. For sure you need to do in a way that you can use your voice projection in a way that you can have volume and people they can hear you loud, and all the expression in your voice can be really listened from everybody. So if we use these different ways of singing, it's important that we need to understand that the way that you position your larynx is different if you consider the pop music and the classical music. So I have a really interesting video for the New York vocal coaching in the link of this video. So if you want to just watch and hear a professional singer explaining all of these things. And I have also another video explaining the differences between the pop singers and the classical singers. Basically, it's about the way that you have your larynx. So the position of your laryngeal position will be so important, because in a way, if I sing more like this, ah, da, 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 so I have my larynx really in a high way. But if I start using more space, if I use more my larynx in this more lower position, I have more space to pronounce and to use my voice. And when we hear the singers from the classical music, so for sure they use a lot of this lower larynx just to put a lot of sound in a way. If we think about how to sound classical in the voice, can be easier if we compare with the instruments, because especially this way of projecting your voice from the classical music, since the moment that you start singing, people will recognize that you are trying to imitate or you're trying to sound using the way that the singers they normally use when they sing classical music. For sure, it's not only about the time or the way that you sing, but it's as well the way that you can connect the notes, the scales that you use. So for sure in the classical singing, the singers they use a lot of legato, for sure, even that they can use more staccato sounds. It's really typical when we hear the singers using a lot of legato. So for instance, if we start projecting, so first the lower larynx, so singing more like this. And in the end of my voice we can hear as well the vibrato. So the vibrato is so important in a way that we can hear this oscillation in the same note. Oh, oh. So in a way that you can use a vibrato. But at the same time, the singers they use a lot of legato when they are singing. And remember, female voices they have more the sounds more in the head voice. So we have more head voices even for soprano, mezzo soprano, and for sure sometimes in the contralto you have use a bit as well of the chest voice, but you have a lot of things going on in the head voice. It's pretty cool that I'm recording this. I can imagine what my neighbors are thinking about I'm doing these voices. But anyway, and when we use more the lower larynx to try to sing, especially for the male voice, to try to use more the chest voice. So, because if you project more your voice, you can have more resource. So you can explore really well the resources. Yes, I'm not a singer, but I can try to at least to use all the different effects from my voice. And this is pretty cool if you want to start your improvisation. For sure, it's important that you can respect the use of the scales that you are trying to improvise, trying to use different dynamics, because it's so important. If you consider that the singers, they didn't have equipment, they needed to work a lot in terms of how to show the dynamics. Even with the projection, you can show different volumes. So you can use your projection many different ways. So what is important here as well when you are improvising, for sure you can sing higher notes without the falsetto, and for sure when I'm imitating the female voices, I'm using the falsetto just to achieve the notes in the way I can sing perfectly. So I'm just doing these considerations in a way that you can understand how the different effects that you can use in your voice. When you want to improvise using this kind of classical way of singing with your clients, it's important that you can, in the middle of one improvisation, you can start using this kind of projection and way of singing, or you can start a theme and you can develop a theme and you can wait until the client or the group of clients, they can, in some ways, they can interact with you in this way using the things. And remember that in the classical singing, the body expression, it's so important, especially if you are singing words. You can really use your hands and all these things that we have from expressing and showing gestures while we are singing. As I said before, so you can show some ideas, you can start for some ideas and you can develop these ideas. So sometimes you can start just with a basic theme, you can try to develop the theme. So for instance, Lam, la, ram, la, ram, la, ram, la, ra, ram, la, ra, la, ra, ram, da, ra, 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 ram, da, 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 dam, ah, da, 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 dam, da, 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 pa, pam, da, dam, dam, da, 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 pam, pam, da, 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 pa, dam, pam, pam, da, 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 pa, dam, pam, pa, da, dam, Ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Da-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Yes, you can try to use a lot of volume and your body expression to try to develop your idea. For sure, you can stay improvising for many, many times. So one nice tip that I can give you is to try to incorporate the melodic ideas that I suggested in my previous video explaining all the melodic resources that we can use in the classical music, and you can add in your voice improvisations, especially regarding how you can use the arpeggio and the passing notes. I think it's a nice possibility in a way. So for sure, as I try to show it, even I'm not a singer, I'm not a professional singer, so I'm a music therapist that use my voice, trying to do these things. So you can use as well your voice, trying to sound with a lot of vibrato like you have in the strings instruments, and you can show all of this a kind of sometimes one thing that people they use in the strings as well, the glissando, that you can use using your voice as well. So glissando effects can help you a lot to have different things. And even for the male singers, can be a nice idea sometimes to use some falsetto ways of singing and the way of using your larynx, just to have more these head sounds when you want to improvise. You can connect, even you can start using the la da da. You can use some head voices just to connect your ideas. For sure, you have a lot of fun with me doing all these voices and all these things. Probably people around me, they are not understanding why I'm doing this, but no problem. As you are a music therapy, you're a music therapy student, you understand why I'm doing these things. For sure, remember to respect your voice. So it's important that you can control your breath, especially when you're doing this projection techniques, that you can see that you are not doing a lot of pressure here in your larynx, so in a way that you can feel comfortable to sing in this way. So it's important that for your body that you need to respect, but especially controlling the air that you have. So it's important that I'm having 2 videos for professional singers that you can hear and you can watch how they are doing it and the different explanations that they have. Yes, it's important that we can improvise using the classical genre, using the voice, because it's something that we can add more colors in the improvisations. Even that you are not singing, and this is interesting, even that you are not singing a melody from the classical music, in some ways, people, they can understand that you are trying to sound classical. So for instance, let's see the melody that I can take. Dum dum da dum 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 da dum 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 bum bum ba dum bum dum 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 dum. So you can use different songs, and when you change from to the classical technique, people, they hear you really well in the way that you are doing. Thanks so much for watching. If you're not a member of this family, please subscribe in this YouTube channel. Thank you so much and see you in the next video. Bye bye.